Look at the beauty and look at the splendor of Wasco Lake. I'm here in the backcountry camping zone, checking out the backcountry campsites. They're all available at this point. And I thought I'd take a load off on this log and stop and admire the incredible views of mighty Wasco Lake. In my opinion, this is the most beautiful lake in the entire 24-mile Three-Finger Jack Loop here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness, Central Oregon. A brilliant sapphire blue. At certain angles has a diamond sparkle. Here's a hiker's hack. If you go up Minto Pass, you get an overlook that looks down on this, and it's absolutely spectacular. Probably the best overlook you're going to see of this lake. So if you're hiking this area, I'd highly recommend stopping and doing that. This is an incredible alpine wonderland. Wasco Lake. Let's continue to get back on the trail and go back up to our main trail, Old Summit Trail, and then we're gonna hike on to Minto Pass. This little side trail we took. Now if you're doing Three-Finger Jack Loop backpacking clockwise, you'll hit this before you traverse the length of the lake. If you're coming from Canyon Creek Meadows, counterclockwise, of course, you will go the length of the lake and then turn right there as we continue to hike. So our next junction is going to be Minto Pass. We're going to take Minto Pass, beautiful zone, and we're going to get up to an overlook of Wasco Lake we were just hanging out Shoreline at. And then go a little past that on the PCT, get some more Three-Finger Jack views. Let me get some Mount Washington views in the next Burnout zone. And then we will turn around. We're coming up to the Minto Pass Junction. We'll be turning onto Minto Pass. Minto Pass Trail. Could keep doing the old summit. There's an area, if you keep going on the old summit trail and to the right, there's a Minto Lake. But I read from the Forestry Service that is unmaintained. I don't think they recommend people doing it. So I'm gonna take Minto Pass. This is the direction I wanna go anyway. For these rocks. We're going to essentially climb up to an overlook of Wasco Lake. And I'll go down the PCT a little bit longer, get some Three-Finger Jack and Mount Washington views, and I will turn around. If I stop where I'm planning on stopping, it'll be 12.7 mile, 1,700 foot elevation gain hike. So we shall see, my friend. Let's do it. We are climbing Minto Pass. Stop and take a look. We got the tip, 3-finger jack loop, and some peaks of Wasco Lake. This is gorgeous. Climbing Minto Pass, and here is our junction. I'm gonna turn left on the Pacific Crest Trail. Look at those beautiful views, a 3-finger jack straight ahead. Oh, this is beautiful. This is a gorgeous ridgeline burnout zone. So we'll take this section until it gives us a beautiful overlook of the mighty Wasco Lake down below. As the end of this segment. Then we'll continue past a little bit. Look at those views of 3-finger jack. That is spectacular. We are hiking through Alpine Wonderland zone. Look at this. Got beautiful Wasco down there. That's just beautiful 3-finger jack. This is crazy. This is an Alpine Wonderland, my friend. You can see why I recommend not stopping at Wasco, but putting in the little effort of climbing up Minto Pass to come up here. If you're coming from the Canyon Creek Meadows Jack Lake zone, counterclockwise, highly worth coming up here. Getting beautiful Wasco views, getting amazing 3-finger jack views, and we're actually hiking right now to an overlook of Wasco, which will be even better. So my viewpoint is, if you're going to come to Canyon Creek Meadows, why not add Wasco? Why not add Minto Pass? Capture a lot of beauty, a lot of highlights of 3-finger jack loop in one day hike. My personal recommendation. Definitely in the peekaboo phase of Wasco Lake from up here. Seeing it between the beautiful pine trees. Oh, this is such a beautiful area. Still seeing the tip of mighty 3-finger jack. Oh, look at the beauty. Look at the magic of Wasco Lake. As we continue to climb, look at that. Look at that panoramic burnout zone. I'm in heaven. Alpine heaven. Pretty spectacular zone, if I do say so myself. Down there. Now we're coming up here. Come around this. Here's our trail. And here's our trail. Beautiful blue spruce and mountain hemlock and pine. What is not to love about this area? This trail is very interesting. I love the way it meanders. Pretty well graded and well designed. I am a fan. We're on the PCT, Pacific Crest Trail right now. And just a couple minutes we'll be at a grand Wasco overlook, which is pretty epic. It's actually straight ahead, this ridge line. Ooh, look at that. Getting a impression of Wasco off in the horizon. This is so beautiful. I'm a lover of the ecologically diverse burnout zones like right now. It's a beautiful trail, flowers and bushes and plants and trees, and there's different snapshots of life on every corner. Pretty almost sensory overload. It's so beautiful. And we've reached the ridgeline zone, the top of this particular climbing section here on the PCT. Gonna get us some pretty spectacular views. Oh. And here we are. Look at the beauty of Wasco Lake. We're here in Mount Hood, Jefferson, Central Oregon, and we just went up Minto Pass, Pacific Crest Trail. Now we are looking down on the brilliant blue sparkling Wasco Lake. This, my friend, absolutely spectacular. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. Look at the magic. Oh, getting a straight on shot of the magic of Three Finger Jack. Look at this burnout beneath it. Mighty Mount Jefferson Wilderness. It's a pretty epic zone, if I do say so myself. Oh, this is an Alpine wonderland, my friend. If you think of Mount Jefferson Wilderness, these are the type of panoramic views that this area should invoke. Oh, this is so amazing. Still getting some shots of beautiful Wasco Lake down below. Of course, we've got Three Finger Jack, most prominent mountain in this particular zone. We're in a 24-mile Three Finger Jack loop, and we're on the northern side of that loop right now. Oh, look at how beautiful this is. Oh, this is great. We are in an epic burnout zone. I cannot tell you how gorgeous this area is. Oh, this is an expansive section where you're just getting these premium views of our friend Three Finger Jack. You can see this is a very interesting, ecologically diverse burnout zone. Lots of rocks and different types of trees and different types of flowers and bushes, and who knows, whenever there's a burnout zone, then it's kind of a fresh start for the area ecologically, and nature competes. You get a weird mix of random things you wouldn't even expect to find. It's pretty gorgeous, actually. It kind of reminds us of the cycle of life. Not to get too poetic, but I think there's something very beautiful about it if you really stop and think about how it all works. Still getting these incredible views of Three Finger Jack back through this burnout wonderland. I mean, look at this. This is crazy. You can never tell when you're looking at a map where the guys are. And this, it wouldn't be considered one of the highlight zones per se, but I mean, look at this. I think this is a highlight zone. I find this spectacular. We got prominent views of our friend Three Fingered Jack at this very stimulating, almost sensory overload Pacific Crest Trail. These different trees and bushes and plants and flowers and you name it, different forms of life. And I love all the different rock formations and angles, all the dead trees, the stumps kind of have an ethereal feel to them. This is quite spectacular, my friend. We are going through a magical burnout zone. I'm a fan of this area. This is why I like to come up here after I do Canyon Creek Meadows and Wasco Lake and Minto Pass. Come up here a little bit and capture this zone. Why not? You're already up in the zone anyway. Minto Pass is a couple 100 feet elevation. It's not bad at all, really. Oh, look at the magic. Look at the wonder. Oh, looks like we got a little tree stump we gotta go over here. We're walking through a pretty epic burnout zone, brimming with life, beauty, cornucopia of species, sensory overload of delight as we continue traversing Mount Jefferson Wilderness. This pretty epic burnout zone. Look at this, pretty freaking outstanding. We are going back on Pacific Crest Trail towards Wasco Lake. And look at these views of Three Fingered Jack. This is beautiful. So we are approaching the Wasco Lake Overlook zone. It's a beautiful area. Stop and take a look back at MID Three Fingered Jack. Oh, this is a pretty epic burnout zone. I'm loving this area. Whenever I think of Mount Jefferson Wilderness, this is one of the areas I think of. My gosh, look at the beauty of this area. We're here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness, Central Oregon, and look at the absolute magic and beauty of Three Fingered Jack. Oh, that is absolutely gorgeous. We are continuing to hike along Pacific Crest Trail, and we are actually coming up to an overlook of Wasco Lake. Sparkly blue sapphire, incredible lake. In my opinion, the most beautiful lake in the entire 24-mile loop. Also a great place to camp overnight if you're doing this as a backpacking loop. Some great places on the left side from our current vantage point of Wasco Lake. 3 or 4 or 5, maybe 6 really good backcountry campsites right on the shoreline. Refill your water and spend the evening luxuriating next to a beautiful, pristine Sapphire Alpine lake. What is not to love about that? I'm gonna stop and take another look. Look at that. Look at the incredible beauty of Three Fingered Jack. We're here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness, Central Oregon, and look at this incredible burnout wonderland zone. So we're starting to get some peaks, some hints of Wasco Lake. Continue to hike along Pacific Crest Trail. We are about to descend Minto Pass, hike Shoreline, a beautiful Wasco lake. As we continue to hike along, and we are coming upon a lookout of beautiful Wasco Lake. Central Oregon, doing the 3-finger jack 24-mile loop, currently in the northern section. And if you go up Minto Pass, or if you're coming clockwise right before Minto Pass, there's a beautiful overlook right here to look down on the beautiful blue, diamond sparkling Wasco Lake. This area is absolutely spectacular. Wasco Lake. We are on the back part of this out and back hike. Started at Jack Lake Trailhead, went up to Canyon Creek Meadows, came over here to Wasco Lake, at Minto Pass, did a section of PCT, and now I'm heading back. Beautiful day. We are descending PCT down to Minto Pass. And here's our junction, Minto Pass. Look at the beauty. We are descending Minto Pass, and look at the views of beautiful Three Finger Jack. This is quite scenic, pretty epic Alpine display as we descend down to shoreline of Wasco Lake. Brilliant blue sapphire diamond sparkling lake, and in my opinion the most beautiful lake in the entire 24-mile Three Finger Jack loop. Also some great backcountry campsites on Wasco Lake. Oh, this is so beautiful. We're stopping to take a look at Three Finger Jack and Wasco Lake through this alpine forest as we descend Minto Pass. Minto Pass is a pretty small pass as far as passes go. Whether you're going up it or going down it, it's not anything too epic, admittedly. It's a couple hundred feet of elevation gain or loss. Currently going down it. As we continue to descend Minto Pass down from mighty Pacific Crest Trail, pretty much the northernmost point of the 24-mile Three Finger Jack loop, is we're about to turn right, go by Wasco Lake, coming up to an intersection shortly. Footwork in these rooted sections. Safety first, second, and third. And we are completing our Minto Pass tie. Getting back on Old Summer Trail. Definitely want to turn right here. Turning left would be a catastrophic mistake. And we are within about a tenth of a mile, if not less, the shoreline of Wasco Lake. If you're backcountry camping, this is the zone where you want to turn left before you start paralleling the lake on the right, descend down, and there's multiple camping spots there. That is a way to go. Straight ahead is a backcountry camping zone. Here's a little access point if you were going to be camping. Oh, look at that. the beautiful Wasco Lake. I'm here on the shoreline of Wasco Lake, and you can get a little bit of peek, a hint of three-fingered jack. This, my friend, is absolutely gorgeous. We are here at Wasco Lake, here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness. We're enjoying the absolutely panoramic views of Wasco Lake. Currently on the far side of the lake. The approach is actually on the exact opposite side of this lake. But I wanted to walk around it and get a good view of it. Look at the incredible beauty of Wasco Lake. We're here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness, Central Oregon. I'm hiking on the Old Summit Trail, part of the 24-mile three-fingered jack loop. I thought I'd stop and take a look and admire this brilliant blue, diamond sparkling sapphire Alpine gem. The majestic Wasco Lake. Absolutely incredible. I am hiking smack dab in the middle of an alpine wonderland. Look at this incredible alpine gem, the blue sapphire Wasco Lake, that's diamond sparkle. And look at this incredible, ecologically diverse, brimming with life burnout zone, Mount Jefferson Wilderness. This is an epic burnout zone surrounding an epic lake. Epic being the operative word in both instances. This, my friend, is truly majestic. Got a good mix of spruces and mountain hemlock and pines. As we hike through this ecologically diverse burnout zone brimming with life, we're stopping to admire the beauty, the incredible views of our diamond sparkle blue sapphire lake. Look at this. This is definitely the most scenic lake in the entire 24-mile three-fingered jack loop. Here on the northeast side, northeast quadrant of the 24-mile mountain alpine extravaganza. Oh, look at this. You've got the wind, strong breeze, shifting the currents. Got a diamond sparkle from the sun. This, my friend, is an alpine lake wonderland. I'm in Alpine Lake heaven. As we continue to hike along. I love this burnout area. To me, this is quintessential Mount Jefferson wilderness. Got spruces and pines, mountain hemlock. I've seen 5 different colors of flower, sensory overload, sorts of interesting bushes and plants, and interesting rock formations and downed logs. A bit of a vibrant wonderland, if you ask this guy. Oh, look at this. Wasco Lake's actually pretty good size too. I'll tell you that on that far side, straight ahead, there's somewhere between 3 and 7 backcountry campsites, depending on how you wanted to find them. Just went and took a look at that actually earlier today, and it's quite spectacular. Oh, look at this. Look at the wonder. Look at the sparkle. This is truly a magical zone, I gotta say. If you're coming to do Canyon Creek Meadows from Jack Lake Trailhead, which is my launching point for today's festivities, highly recommend after you go up and look at the turquoise cirque that you don't end your hike there. My humble opinion, that's a waste. I would come on over here to Wasco Lake and then explore the area. You won't be sorry. I would also actually go up Minto Pass, get an overlook of Wasco Lake, and then I would actually even continue down the Pacific Crest Trail for another mile or 2, get some epic views of Three Fingered Jack, and even start getting epic views of Mount Washington. So what is not to love about that? It's my own custom hike, my own cherry picking custom hike of highlights. So it's not on all trails, but I basically take the Canyon Creek Meadows loop and add Wasco and Wasco Lake, Minto Pass, and part of Pacific Crest Trail. I make it about 12.7 miles, about 1,700 feet. So my personal jam. I like to go do part of the burnout and turn around well before I get to the switchbacks on the west side of Three Fingered Jack. I don't think there's any reason to go too far up that. Keep doing the scenic section and turn around in the burnout zone somewhere. That is my recommendation to you. Might as well make a day of it if you're going to come all the way up here. So that's how I roll. And I am digging Wasco Lake. I'm digging this alpine wonderland that surrounds Wasco Lake. This I would call the magenta zone. All these flowers. That is pretty gorgeous. If you're a fan of flowers, if you're a fan of alpine wonderlands, if you're a fan of blue sapphire sparkly lakes, this might be a hike for you. Oh. So we're getting to the edge of Wasco Lake. We'll be hiking, so we get some peekaboos, hiking back through this burnout zone to a creek crossing, so an old summit trail, and then we will be on our final loop back to our trailhead. Come back here. As we continue along our burnout zone, gorgeous area. This area's got a lot of benefits to it. One is no mosquitoes, so I'm on the way back. Definitely done the lion's share of this hike. I've pretty much done almost all the elevation, plus maybe 100 feet, and no mosquito bites. I haven't even seen one. So kind of a Pacific Northwest Cascades hiking hack, particularly July, but also August. If you're worried about mosquito infestation, which you have right to be because some hikes are downright undoable because of their mosquito quotient, then focus on burnout hikes. Typically in burnout zones there are little to no mosquitoes. Can't guarantee there's zero, but most times I do a burnout hike, I come back with 0 bites and I don't use any creams or sprays or anything. I don't have Promethean or DEET or anything. I'm just all natural. So that's a nice little hiking hack for July and August. I'm in the first third of August right now, and I know some areas are mosquito laden. This is not one of them. Grove of magenta flowers, all very concentrated. One little spot. So I focus on my footing as I'm going over these uneven rocks. I think I just saw a baby scorpion. I did not step on it, I stepped over it. Look at this. This is crazy. A magical burnout zone. This is spectacular. This is a cornucopia of burnout wonder and delight. It's alpine forest reconstituted. Pretty freaking epic if you ask this kid. Here's the beautiful trail, Old Summer Trail. There's our friend Wasco Lake. A little bit of a bog next to it as we continue to ascend out of the Wasco Lake basin. This little third bog lake, unnamed, that I'm aware of. Don't get confused and think that's Wasco Lake. That is not. We are ascending out of the Wasco Lake basin currently on our way to the creek crossing that starts this portion of the trail. Across the creek, across some rocks, hoppity style, and then we will ultimately finish what is the last segment of the Canyon Creek Meadows Loop back to our trailhead at Jack Lake. Oh, look at that beauty. Look at the views. Mighty three-fingered Jack straight ahead. Hiking through. Oh, look at that. Look at those views. Hiking through this incredible Mount Jefferson Wilderness Wonderland Zone. Look at the views of Three-Fingered Jack.
Great feeling when you come around a corner and the breeze is noticeably colder because it's capturing the creek humidity. Look at that. Look at the incredible beauty of Canyon Creek. We're here at a creek crossing. You can see the junction over there on the trail. This is where you turn on Old Summit Trail for Wasco Lake. You start this little venture by doing some rock hopping straight ahead to get across this beautiful babbling creek. Mount Jefferson Wilderness. This is an Alpine heavenly wonderland. This area is absolutely beautiful. As we approach a creek that we're about to cross, I'm standing here at the creek crossing. Once you come to Old Summit Trail on your way to Wasco Lake, here is the creek crossing. You hop across these rocks. Do so safely, of course. Pretty easy, but you do have to have a little balanced situational awareness and watch your footing. But very doable for most wilderness adventurers. Not something I would consider high danger or high difficulty. But you always want to be careful whenever you do anything because you never know what can happen. This, my friend, is absolutely beautiful. Look at this burnout zone. This is gorgeous. So we are hiking the Old Summit Trail portion, and it connects back up to that first junction we went by when we first started this trail. There's a waterfall in this section, so look at the beauty of this hidden waterfall. I'm here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness here in Central Oregon, and this is a hidden little waterfall off the trail, not far from where you turn to cross the creek to go over to Wasco Lake. Oh my gosh, this, my friend, is absolutely beautiful. Oh, look at that. Look at the beauty. Look at the magic. Mighty three-fingered jack. This is so beautiful. This is one of the few hikes where from the first step to the last step is absolutely magical, which is frankly my favorite kind of hike. We are on the last couple miles back to the trailhead, and typically you'd be in mop-up mode at that point, but not here at Canyon Creek Meadows, to the Turquoise Cirque, to Wasco Lake, to Minto Pass, to Pacific Crest Trail, Overlook, back to Wasco Lake, to the waterfall before Wasco turnoff, to now this section where we're hiking through a pristine burnout zone, ecologically diverse wonderland, brimming with life after a fire long ago. And we're still, even in these last sections, getting pretty epic mountain views. This is I call these peekaboo sections. You're getting some views of Mount Three-Fingered Jack. It's kind of funny, I've actually done 3 hikes in Mount Hood in the last week and a half. Did Mazama Trail, Ramona Falls, and I did Newton Creek and Elk Meadows. And looked at Umbrella Falls and Sahili Falls. Now I'm back down here in Central Oregon, which is really my home base because I live in Madras. But I got Mount Hood on the brain because I keep talking about it. Oh, look at that. Look at the beauty. Mighty three-fingered jack and this incredible pine passageway. Very beautiful. One of the special things of this area is each section's got its own ecological footprint. We went through a spruce-laden zone where you felt completely surrounded and ensconced in spruce. Now we are having the same treatment with pines. It's pretty magical, pretty unique, pretty special to get such an interesting ecological footprint here in one zone. It's one of the benefits of, one of the silver linings of a burnout zone is unpredictable reemergence and brimming of life.
So we are currently on the Old Summit Trail. We're going to be coming back to a junction soon. Then we'll be on the final stretch back to the Trailhead, Jack Lake, and our vehicle to complete this hike. We're last part of the 12.7 mile, 1,700 foot elevation gain hike. Pretty happy with this hike overall. If I had to rank, well, here's what I'd say. 3-finger jack loop, 24-mile loop, absolutely spectacular. One of the 3 best Alpine backpacking loops in the state of Oregon, along with Timberline Loop and Broken Top Loop. I'd probably rank it 3rd. Probably say 3-finger jack loop is the 3rd best backpacking Alpine loop in Oregon. Definitely worth doing, definitely bucket list, definitely special, definitely premium, world class, not in question. So I happen to have the luxury of living in Central Oregon, so this isn't a destination hike for me. So I'm old enough that I prefer to sleep in my warm, cozy bed at night if I can. So rather than coming to backpack this 24 miles, I've opted to break it up into 3 day hikes from my home and address. So if I had to rank them, the one I'm doing today is number 1. It's Jack Lake Trailhead, which is permit required recreation.gov, the only one that is, basically to the turquoise Alpine Cirque Overlook, and then keep paralleling Canyon Creek over to Wasco Lake on the Old Summit Trail. There's a waterfall right there, just FYI, hidden off the trail, so you have to look for it. And then you descend down to Wasco Lake. I like to check out the backcountry campsites, go up Minto Pass. The top of Minto Pass, there's an outstanding overlook of Wasco Lake, definitely the best view of Wasco Lake. Highly recommend doing that. Then I like to go up PCT a bit longer, get some magical views of 3-finger jack, and then even get to a burnout section with magical views of Mount Washington. Somewhere in that burnout zone, I normally turn around because this is a loop. There's not a natural turnaround point. We are cherry picking after all. And then I turn around and come back from whence I came. I come back Old Summit Trail to basically complete the original Canyon Creek loop. It's also the most direct way back at that point. So if you do the mileage, according to all trails, it's about 12.7 miles and about 1,700 feet elevation gain. So that to me is the premium hike in this area to capture some of the best highlights. A close number 2, I'll say a very close number 2, is starting on the opposite end, the southern side, Santiam Pass Pacific Crest Trail. That does not require a permit. A lot of people mistakenly think it does. It does not. No recreation.gov permit required. You still have to self-issue with the trailhead. So you take that one, Santiam Pass Pacific Crest Trail. I like to stay on PCT, basically do the west side of the 3-finger jack loop to the highest point in the entire 24-mile loop. I call it the Moneyshot. There's a point where you come around a corner at the top of a switchback zone. It's very windy there, probably the windiest part of the whole loop because of the high elevation, and you get a money shot. You can give 3-finger jack a high five. So that's the natural turnaround point. It wouldn't make sense to go down these switchbacks right there and just turn around and go right back up them. So hit the top, highest point, stop, turn around, come back. That's like 14 miles, I want to say. I have the entire video series of that available here. And then last but not least, also from Santiam Pass to the Crest Trailhead, but near the very beginning, you turn right on the Old Summit Trail and you go do Square Lake and Booth Lake. I don't go much farther than Booth Lake. I normally go a little bit past it, but you get to this Manzanita section that's just one large Manzanita grove for miles all the way up to south of Jack Lake. That whole quadrant from, I'll say, north of, if you're looking at a map, north of Booth Lake to south of Jack Lake is definitely considered the worst section of the whole loop. It's kind of, well, it is absolutely boring. It's just manzanitas. There's no eye candy, no mountain views. There's also no water, so it's also the most dangerous part because if you're doing that middle hot part of the day, that could be dangerous. So you got to factor that in. So since I'm just cherry picking day hiking, there's no reason to go do that section. It's the worst part of the whole trail. So I avoid that. I stop just north of Booth Lake.
there's a little bit of creek there, so I do like to go a little north of Booth Lake, but then I stop. So I want to say that's about 10 miles. I have that video series available here as well. So those are the 3 hiking day hikes that you can do to kind of capture the highlight zones of Three Finger Jack. So if you want to just do one backpacking loop, you get it all in one loop, that's great. If you spoiled like me and want to sleep in your bed at night, or you're fortunate enough to live in Central Oregon, so you have this in your backyard, there's really no reason to backpack it, and you can pick off the day hikes. But that's how I would design it, those 3 day hikes. Really, if you've done those, you've seen everything there is to see with Three Finger Jack. You will have left nothing on the table. So I would say probably my favorite spots around Three Finger Jack are the Alpine Turquoise Cirque Zone. That's incredible. Right up at the base and right across from Three Finger Jack. So that's an incredible zone. I think the whole Wasco Lake area, descending the Burnout to see it, being on the shoreline, going up Minto Pass, and then overlooking from Pacific Crest Trail. The whole Wasco area, I think, is pretty magic. And then I would also say the Moneyshot, the end of the hike from Sandy Pass, Pacific Crest Trail, like your turnaround point. That's a pretty gorgeous zone. It's pretty special. Those are probably your 3 best areas of the whole 24-mile loop. I do think Square Lake's pretty cool. That one you got it. That one's probably going to be the one most mosquito-rific of the whole 24-mile loop. So be conscious of that. Maybe I probably wouldn't do that in June because that's when the mosquitoes are going to be most active. It's probably the worst thing you could do is do that one in June, but do that one later in the season, maybe July, end of August, September, into October. Shouldn't be any mosquitoes, and enjoy it. So that's a very detailed, in-depth analysis of my 3 recommended day hikes to fully explore Three Finger Jack Loop without actually backpacking it. So my policy on backpacking is this: I only do it if I have to. So I'm an avid backpacker. I've done it many times. I've got all the equipment, so it is in my sweet spot, comfort zone, wheelhouse. But I've come to realize that having that heavy pack on my back really does take away from my enjoyment. So my philosophy is this: if I can day hike something, even a 17, 18, 20 mile day hike, I will always do that. So I'd rather have no backpack on and have a long day hike than have a backpack on. So that's always plan A. Sometimes the geography, the topography doesn't allow for that. You can't get to the Tootsie Roll Center, the Tootsie Pop in a day hike because it's too far away from the trailhead to reasonably do in a day hike. Those situations, I will absolutely go backpack them. But I think I have to backpack it to get to the end point in order for me to be willing to do it. If you have to, then you have to. But otherwise, you just can't get to the lake you're trying to get to or the mountain view you're trying to get to. And I'd rather get to the lake or mountain view, so you just have to backpack. But backpacking is not my methodology of first resort. So what I like to do is find areas really across the 11-state region, including, and then also Canada and Alaska, 11-state contiguous region. I like to find hikes I want to do, and then I research the car camping developed campgrounds in the area, find one that I like, find a site I like, book it, take my car, take my kayaks, typically go kayak the lake if it's on a lake, and then go do day hikes all day and return back to my campsite for the evening, rinse and repeat a few days, and then create a network of those all around really the western half of the United States, where I think a lot of the premium alpine hiking is, higher elevation zones. Just rinse and repeat. That's my methodology, and continuing to expand it works well for me. Probably do that, since I live in Oregon, probably do that in Washington, Oregon, Northern California, Idaho. Once you get far enough away, though, outside the layer of onion, I don't want to drive 20 hours one way in my vehicle. That's too much. So I'm saving what right now I'm calling the outer ring from where I live, like Montana, Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, New Mexico. I mean, I'm keeping that area for when I buy an RV. And I feel like it's going to be very efficient to go hit those areas saturation style and then go do a 3 or 4 week trip up to Montana or up to Wyoming or wherever the case may be, and pick off the trails that way. So I've got a moving home base, i.e. my RV. So that's the plan for that region. That's also how I'll approach Canada and Alaska. My current viewpoint, being in Central Oregon, is that I don't really want to go car camp a developed campground any farther than about 8 hours one way. Because I think if I wake up at 3 or 4 in the morning, leave, get there at 11 or 12, that's reasonable, and then do that again in a few days. I think you can make an 8 hour one way work, but I think any longer than that, and then hopefully have a few days of camping and relaxing, and I think any longer than 8 hours and you start getting diminishing returns. Like, you can't spend a certain percentage of the trip on the road, or it start feeling like the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So life is ratios. Oh, I love these pine trees. This is beautiful, my friend. Look at the beauty of this burnout. We're here in Mount Jefferson Wilderness here in Central Oregon, doing Caney Creek Meadows plus Wasco Lake and Minto Pass and Pacific Crest Trail. And we are in the final sections, heading back to our trailhead on Old Summit Pass, about to reconnect with the first junction of our hike early this morning, and then a final descent back to our trailhead. So we are in mop-up mode, but that does not detract from the incredible beauty I'm still enjoying. This is one of those trails that, from the first step to the last step, got an immense amount of beauty, and I am enjoying them, appreciating them. And we are finishing Old Summit Trail. Here we are, the end of Old Summit Trail. And we're going back to the Jack Lake Trailhead. The sign indicating we're exiting Mount Jefferson Wilderness.